Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good
Good morning,
morning.
everyone.
Morning, Abiodun. How are you?
Good
Good
morning. Good
morning
morning.
from Lagos,
Good morning.
Nigeria. My name is Abiodun Owo. I'm the programs manager here at
Okay.
Aspire Coronation Trust Foundation. Thank you so much for joining us. A lot of people joined quite early. Thank you so much for that. We know that your time is very, very valuable, yet you have joined us. All right, you are welcome to the third edition of our knowledge series at Aspire Coronation Trust Foundation. And today we'll be looking at Reimagine fundraising beyond the donation box. Now, what are you going to learn today? I'm not going to spill the beans. I'll just let you hear from our speaker who is very much around already. Okay, so let us move on. So I'll talk briefly about Aspire Coronation Trust Foundation since we have a handful of people who are joining us here for the very first time. So Aspire Coronation Trust Foundation, ACT Foundation as we know it, we are an award-winning organization. And what do? We address developmental challenges that are affecting us in the continent of Africa. And how do we do this? Through funding, through capacity strengthening, and strategic project delivery with nonprofits and social enterprises. So local nonprofits and those in Nigeria, those in regional areas also across African countries. And at the end, our essence is to drive sustainable development. At that foundation, we understand that there are very, very many problems, challenges that Africa encounters. But then at ACT Foundation, we have so far started with 4 focus areas where we implement our interventions. And the first of them is in health. So if you do things around maternal and child health, for example, or non-communicable disease, then you're a customer. In environment, we do things around integrated waste management, access to safe drinking water, and climate action. So if you do interventions around there, then look out for our next grant application to apply. For entrepreneurship, we do we support interventions around acquisition of vocational and digital skills. Those 2 skills you can never ever do it. Yes, digital skills are very important, but then vocational skills too are irreplaceable. So if you do interventions around that area, we support such interventions. And of course, financial literacy and inclusion, especially for the vulnerable, for young girls, for women, for people in rural communities, and so on and so forth. And our last focus area is leadership. So if you do things around youth leadership, thought leadership, and national development, then you are free to apply for our grant applications when they open later in the year. So I've spoken about our grant making. The other thing we also do is capacity building, and you are in one of such capacity building sessions. We know that there is that gap in knowledge and skills in a lot of our nonprofits and social enterprises in Africa. And ACT Foundation has stepped in by ensuring that we try to fill this gap as much as possible at no cost. And that is why you are here. Besides this, we also run capacity building sessions for our grantees in form of a professional volunteer program where they get to be attached to experts, professionals in various areas. It could be on storytelling, it could be on fundraising, for example, it could be on financial management and different things. So they're attached to them. And these volunteers give their time free of charge to our grantees. Next thing, we also do not joke with partnerships. We know that, as they say, this is like my favorite. I'm not sure if there's any training where I don't say this. If you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together, go with someone. So partnerships is very, very, is something we hold very dearly. And we do not stop at, partnering with donors, funders, so that we can keep doing what we do in Africa. Also, research. If you go to our website, you'll find all of our research products. We've done things around cancer prevention, the use of technology, and different ones. So if you go to our website, you will see that. And of course, thought leadership. Every year we run our conference where we get to bring experts to talk about different issues, changes, challenges affecting Africa, and the way forward. This is a snapshot of what we do, from our capacity building sessions to how many people we have reached through our breakfast dialogue. We also run a special challenge in the course of the year. It's coming up very soon, so please look out for that. It's for those who actually use technology to carry out their interventions. So if your innovation is tech-based, then it's okay to apply for this one. It's called Change Makers Innovation Challenge. We run a podcast as well where we bring in different people, change makers across Africa who are doing great stuff. And if you haven't seen the last episode, it was with Morayo Afolabi Brown, where she spoke about working with the media in terms of storytelling. You are doing a lot, but then you're not working with the media. You think it's all about just inviting them to your events, and then but there are better ways that you can work with the media for your interventions, for your support to be more effective and efficient. So please go listen to Act Forward. It's on our YouTube channel. All right. And lastly, of course, these are the research products that we have produced so far. And yeah, in terms of quantitative impact, this is what we have. Qualitative, we've also seen, of course, improvement in the quality of lives of our beneficiaries. This we do through our partners. So you can reach out to us through programs at actrustfoundation.org. Follow us on Instagram, X, and YouTube as Act Foundation _. You can also follow us on Facebook and LinkedIn as Aspire Coronation Trust Foundation. All right. Okay, so quickly, we'll just try and do a check-in. All right, please give me a moment. Okay. Our speaker is in the house. Before we bring her in, just like to have a feel of what we are here to do. All right, so while we wait for that to happen, could you just write in the chat room, what country are you joining us from? What country are you joining us from? Please write in the chat room. Okay, I am going to the chat room. Nigeria, Ekabo, Mesereo. Okay, I see Kenya. I see South Africa.
Hello. Hello.
I see Ghana. I see South Sudan. I see Liz from Cameroon. Thank you for joining us. I see, okay, Kenya, Ghana again, Ghana, South Africa, Uganda.
Togo.
We have someone joining in from Zambia. We have someone from Zimbabwe. Thank you. I wish I understood your languages.
From Congo.
Mel?
We have from Congo.
Yes. I see someone joining in from, United Kingdom. Ma'am, did you say something? You're muted. Oh, okay. I see someone joining us from United Kingdom, Zambia.
Biodu, you're muted.
We can't hear you.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, better.
Okay, my apologies. My network is trying me this morning in Nigeria. You, this network, be careful. Okay, I would like you to know, so now we're going to be learning about fundraising, beyond the donation box. I would like you to just please tell us, what is that main challenge that you are facing in your organization in terms of fundraising? So with respect to fundraising, what is that particular challenge you're facing? So for some people, it's donor fatigue. For some people, it is inconsistent funding. For some people, they don't even know how to fundraise. They have no idea. So they've just been working, with donations from family members, from, this, from that. There's no structure to how they raise their funds. So can you tell us what is the greatest challenge you face as an organization? And I'll go to the chat room in a few seconds. For some others, they don't even know how to articulate their value proposition. Is that a challenge you are facing? Okay, please tell us about it. All right, I'm going to the chat room now to see what we have. Okay. No fundraising structure. Somebody says donor portals. What happened to donor portals? You may need to just expatiate a bit on that. Donor fatigue, shifts in donor funding after USAID cuts. This is very real. Yes, it is very real. Not knowing donor portals, okay? I'm sure our speaker is here to help. Inconsistency in fundraising is our problem. Sourcing and securing grants, okay? Getting donors that are willing to provide funding for new NGOs. I feel your pain. I feel your pain, but someday you'll get there. Proposal writing and how to reach out to donor, okay? That's also a challenge. Somebody says no response from corporates, no feedback on proposals submitted to trusts, okay? Could it be that you're sending proposals to organizations that do not receive unsolicited proposals? That may be something you need to find out, okay? Just to be sure that you're doing the right thing. Okay, I think that pretty much partnerships. Somebody says partnerships, okay? Pitching a winning proposal, all right? I think our speaker is, she's taking notes, and I'm sure she's going to incorporate you in her presentation. Getting the right gatekeepers, meeting deadline, okay? Shrinking funding, and so on and so forth. Let me see if there's anything new here. Unrestricted funding. Okay, I thought that was supposed to be a good thing. Okay, building network that favor your NGO. So networking, donor agenda. Okay, so the donor's agenda does not fit your agenda, or your agenda doesn't fit the donor's agenda, okay? Best innovative ways to engage donors, not knowing donor partners. Okay, I think we have pretty much a bucket of similar ideas going on right now. Okay, so without further ado, I would like to bring up our speaker, who is Adetun Oluwole. Okay, she's the Director of Development at Attention Deficit Disorder Association. Now, Adetun is a social development professional with core expertise in fundraising, donor relations, and grant management. Now, tell me, who else is fit to be at this table with us, if not Adetun Oluwole? She has worked with many nationals and multinationals, including Faith Foundation, UNICEF, PIN, and many others like that. And she has been able to raise and manage funding from all of these organizations. And she's done different stuffs around youth employment, entrepreneurship, agriculture, financial inclusion, and so much, and so on. So if you work in some of these areas, I tell you, you have a lot to learn from Adetun Oluwole. She has degrees, internationally and nationally in philosophy, in public and international affairs, and what more. She's a Harvard graduate. So if I were you, I would bring up my notepad and my pen, and I will stay focused on the speaker as she takes the stage right now. But before I bring her on, I want to see your emojis in the chat room. Please send your flowers, send your claps, send your ovation as I bring her up on stage. Over to you, ma'am. You're muted. Oh, okay. Just give us a minute.
Okay, I think I'm good now. Yeah. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here. I hope everybody can hear me.
Okay. Yes, we can hear you.
All right. Thank you, Osai. Thank you for the opportunity. First, I would like to commend ACT Foundation for the amazing work you're doing. bringing together great minds who are doing impactful things globally in Africa, Thank you for that. And also thank you for glazing me. That's what my son calls it. You were hyping me on social media everywhere. I'm like, God, thank you so much. I feel really honored and privileged. And I like the fact that we have people from different countries. Like, it's such a good one, diversity. I like that. So without too much talk, I would like to go into my presentation for today. I don't know if you'll be projecting from your end or you want me to do it from here.
Project.
I should do it, okay. Okay, so you already done the introduction. I'll just go ahead straight into the main presentation. So when I was looking at all the questions and the challenges, I'm like, this is just quite a lot because, fundraising, if we start from now till the end of today, I'm not sure it will be enough for us to talk about all the different challenges organizations are facing. And then we all know that donor funding is shrinking drastically. It's a major challenge, not just in Africa, not just in Nigeria, but even in other countries, in other continents. And the key reason for this is because the main country that has been shouldering all these things for the past, let me say since World War II, the highest donor is actually the United States. So it gets to a point when they, feel tired, like it's getting too much on us, and they will have to push back. And that's why you're seeing all those policies they are coming up with. They're telling you that they also want to deal with their own issues before even thinking about, other countries. The United States has consistently remained the largest donor to official development assistance. And we have about 32 countries in that group. We have Germany, United Kingdom, Japan, France, we have Norway. In fact, the Norwegian agencies give a lot. I know maybe some people don't know, but they actually give a lot. And so far, since the end of World War II, the United States has given 3.75 trillion in foreign aid, mostly towards military assistance and economic development. And guess what? About a quarter of that amount goes to Israel, Afghanistan, Vietnam, South Korea, and Egypt. Of course, they give towards Africa. We all know that. But a quarter of that goes to Israel, Afghanistan, Vietnam, South Korea, and Egypt. And I have my source. It's from the USAID USA Facts. So you can also look that up. So what do we do now that this is happening? People are running helter-skelter, people are reimagining things, how else can you raise funds for your organization? Because whether you like it or not, I know most of the organizations are not for profit, so you can't start commercializing things like that. You still have to look for other ways, to get money into your purse. So let's also look at the key trends and data points as of 2024 last year. There's been a huge decline in donor giving and retention. And 2024 was the highest in the last 6 years. In 2023, it was about 223.3 billion USD. And in 2024, it dropped to 212. Out of this amount, 42 billion came to Africa. So I don't know what came to Uganda. I know we have different people from different countries. How much went to Tanzania? I don't have that fact, but I know that 42 billion went to Africa. So what has been the challenges? We all know that there's been Russia-Ukraine war. And a lot of countries are looking at that and supporting, who their preference is. There's been issue of migration. People are moving around. And as people move around, these countries also want to think about their own welfare, their own social services, and how to manage the people coming in. So they'll think of their own people first before even suggesting to give a lot out there. So it's shrinking gradually. And I don't blame them. If you were the one, you first of all think about yourself first before others. That's the way human beings are wired, you know. So even the refugee issues and all. Let's now talk about DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency. And that has to do with this Trump administration. A lot has been happening. People are scared. Organizations are fearful. There's this important bill. It's called the One Big Beautiful Bill. I don't know if anybody has heard about it. Or do you even know how it impacts not-for-profit organizations? So I'm going to tell you some of the things I have pulled out from that bill. And of course, it's still being deliberated by the US Senate. And some of the associations of fundraising professionals are kind of pushing back on some things. So I'll take them one after the other so you can actually visualize what is happening in real terms. So there's been an increase in excise tax on private foundations. So the likes of Ford Foundation and all that, MacArthur and all, there's an increase in their taxation. So it has moved from 1.39% to 10%, depending on the assets they have. So imagine those that have assets, buildings in different countries. Just imagine how much you'll be paying in tax. Foundations with assets between 50 million and 250 million will be paying 2.78%. And then those with assets of 5 billion will be paying 10%. Also, there's the right now, you know, for them to revoke licensing of not-for-profit organizations. I think before it was so easy for charities to just do their thing to a large extent, but those who default in some of these taxes, they will revoke, you know, their licensing. Let's talk about MAGA. That is the Money Account and Growth Advancement. That's the Trump account. So currently, foundations cannot make distribution to individuals except for certain, you know, opportunities like scholarships, fellowships, prizes, awards, and things like that. But with the new bill, that is changing. So with the new bill, Trump account is a trust created for the exclusive benefit of a child. So even if your organization is doing, or maybe they want to give towards scholarships in Africa, for example, they will tell you that that child has to open an account. From what the bill is saying, that child has to open an account, which is the Trump account. They'll put the money in there, and that money cannot be touched until the child or that beneficiary is 18 years old. And it can only be used for two things: education or the purchase of a home. And with this account, you can only accept up to 5,000 a year. So the restrictions are just a lot. Like, you'd be like, what else could we do? Scholarships, you're telling us that you have to like open an account. It can't be more than 5,000, you know? Then for non-profit executives, like the leaders in not-for-profit organizations, earning more than $1 million are subject to 29% tax. I don't know who ends up to $1 million anyway in Africa, but, but you know, with the bill, once you're earning up to that, you're subject to 29% of your tax. Let's not even talk about the pharmaceutical companies. They're facing a lot right now, and those have been the ones I have been kind of like leaning on in a way because they actually give a lot of support, especially to issues of mental health, you know, and health-related causes. But Trump is clamping down on them seriously. Like seriously. So even those who used to give us a lot before, now they've reduced. The last email I got from one of our partners, they cut down on the money, but at least they're still giving us. So Trump is saying if they're not careful, he will raise their tax to 200%. Who wants to pay 200% as tax? So these are some of the things, you know, making it a bit difficult for us to get grants like we used to. Before, when you send your pictures, you send your videos to donors in the States, they'll be so emotional, they will give. You don't need to talk too much. But now, even it has become a major issue. And also part of the trend is the impact of storytelling. Donors are increasingly influenced by impact stories and video content. Not everybody wants to keep reading voluminous, reports. So they're thinking of other ways, like what could be of interest to them. Just look at the video Act Foundation did with Neuro. That's beautiful. You can see what they're doing. I don't need to read and read and read before I understand where the main, impact is. Just watching, I can see everything. So from one of the studies that was conducted last year as well, they said 75% of these donors are using stories to understand the impact of their donations or contributions to not-for-profits. Okay. Please, if you want me to take it easy, just let me know. So some of the tools and approaches for 2025. We have AI automation, we have subscription giving, use of mobile phones to make donations, community influencer, and the like. So I'm going to talk about this and a few others. Artificial intelligence has come to stay, whether we like it or not. We just have to imbibe that into everything we do, or most of the things that we do, because without it, you'll be left behind. So it was actually a very hot topic in 2024, and it remains a growing focus in 2025. It helps you predict and analyze data, donor behavior. You can know who is giving, who has been giving consistently for the past maybe 1 year, 2 years. You can know, okay, what kind of project should we pitch to them? You notice that they sponsored, blah, blah, blah. What should we propose to them from our own end? And these are some of the tools that I use. I use Salesforce and I use GiveSmart. So for Salesforce, it helps me to put in the information, of my donors, when the reporting timelines are due, their funding cap, maybe between 200,000 to 500,000, a bit information about the project itself and things like that. And I can also delegate people to maybe approve internally through the use of Salesforce. Maybe I'm on leave. I can tell someone else to just approve the report and send using Salesforce. I know they also have training programs, so you can also just follow their link and see some of the free opportunities that they have. I use GiveSmart a lot because it helped me with donations. So there's a way we link it up with our website, and people can donate, and immediately they're donating, I'm seeing what they're giving on GiveSmart. So I use it mostly for campaigns. I use it to do my donor segmentation. I can analyze how many people are male, how many are female, who gave towards a certain campaign, who has been giving monthly, who has been giving quarterly. I use my GiveSmart, for all that. And with artificial intelligence, definitely you can have your personalized communication. People don't waste time anymore. If you want to write your thank you notes, your letters, just to check mark what you've done, your presentations, your case statements that talks about your impact, you can use AI to do that. Also draft conversations or conversation drafts. Mostly people don't take notes like that during meetings. If there's anything you want to fall back on while you're using your Zoom, there's a way to just put together the minutes for you, highlight, and it's usually very nicely done, very nicely done. So I use that as well. Also Facebook campaigns, a lot of campaigns on Facebook, to raise money for your not-for-profits. If you're not on PayPal, I don't know, because I use PayPal for not-for-profits as well. The way that works is you sign up on PayPal and put in information about your NGO, so that when people want to maybe make transactions, it will be popping up Act Foundation. Do you want to donate to Act Foundation? And then you can just drop $10, $5 like that. So it makes it easy. And I noticed that in a couple months back, a few organizations have come to us and they'll be like, are you on PayPal not-for-profits? I'm like, yes, we're there. So it makes it easier for them to make donations, So you may want to also consider that. Many nonprofits are still reluctant to take full advantage of AI. However, this technology has come to stay, like I said before, and will become increasingly embedded in our lives. So please don't shy away from AI. Use it to your advantage. Use it as much as you can. Learn more. If you need to do courses on AI, go ahead and do it. I started what's it called? A data analytics course. We had like 8 modules. I did 2, I stopped, but even the 2 that I did, honestly, it was really, really beneficial to me. So I encourage people to also, even though you're a not-for-profit professional, think of things you can do in AI that would help enrich the work that you do. For me, I was just thinking of my reporting. I want to send a report to a donor and they look at it like, oh, nicely done. Like the look and feel of that report, I want it to look presentable to my donor. So I thought of doing that course. Okay. So for subscription giving, I know some organizations use this in Africa, but I would want you to leverage on it the more because I see it work a lot where I am. Okay, in Canada here, in the States, I know that, people give easily by subscription, like monthly, quarterly, like I said. So monthly donation programs are gaining popularity, providing not-for-profits with a steady revenue stream while fostering donor loyalty. At ADA, where I work, we have people who give as little as $10 every month. It is consistent. You may think it's small, but we get it every month. $10, okay, so it's good. And this organization is called Kwanda. I recently joined. It's actually for Africans in diaspora, and we run projects in Africa, in different African countries, Cameroon, different African countries. So what Kwanda does is they get people to subscribe to Kwanda. You drop $5 and all that, and then we take decision on the proposal submitted to Kwanda. So organizations submit proposals to Kwanda, and then we choose and say, okay, this one should go to Nigeria. They're doing something in rural, maybe Benue, whatever. So we approve and then the funding goes there. So something like that you can also create for your not-for-profit organization. In the US, 2/3 of American households give to charity. They do that a lot, like individuals, families, end of the year, they just give, because of course there are also tax benefits attached to it. So they do it anyway. Also membership fees. If you've not been doing that, I think you can also consider membership fees, maybe not too much, but something small. And also, like I said, to foster that loyalty with your organization. We also do that at ADA because ADA is for those with ADHD. So mostly some people hide. They don't want to talk about it because it's more of a mental health issue. But when they come together as members, they find solace in each other. They brainstorm, they share ideas of medications to use and all that. So we charge them membership fees every month. Some just pay annually, some pay every month. Another thing I do a lot is monthly campaigns. So every month, there's one campaign I'm doing. Just go online, look for all the critical campaigns for the month, like Black History Month, Women's Health Month. So if people don't give towards Black History, they'll give towards Women's Health Month or Men's Mental Health. So I always run campaigns every month, Giving Tuesday is another one. I don't know if a lot of people are familiar with Giving Tuesday. Giving Tuesday is a Tuesday right after Black Friday. So it's the first Tuesday in December. A lot of Americans give that time. When they finish shopping for their electronics or whatever, they just give towards not-for-profit organizations. So please check on the Giving Tuesday website. You can link up with them as well and make your own campaign towards that time. And of course, the end of year giving. we do this and we get lots of money for this particular one, this end of year giving, because people use it also for tax benefits, and which is something I'm hoping and I'm believing that in Africa will begin to offer those kind of benefits to people who give, so that they can get tax benefits in return. Because when they give, there's a way the government prorates their tax, and then they get something in return after donating to a charity. Also, paid webinars. You guys are so lucky. ACT is not charging you for this. But if you have to pay, I don't know how much, as it's going to be quite an amount, So paid webinars, we charge people money for our webinars. It's usually not free, apart from our members who pay membership dues. But if external people are to join, they pay for our webinars, except we have sponsors, then we throw it open. So that's another way to, generate money for your not-for-profit. Also, try as much as possible to keep your supporters engaged. Like us, during COVID, we had lots of subscribers, over 100,000, and we got lots of money, during that period. So always find programs that will be beneficial to your members, to people following you and all. And of course, leverage your CRM data for donor segmentation. So you're not stressing yourself, like something to make it easy for you. For each campaign, for example, Black History Month, maybe I want to target the Blacks. I can use my CRM data to just, sieve that out and get the kind of people I want to send my information and campaign to. And of course, optimize your online donation form. So for those who have donation forms embedded in their websites, they would understand what I'm saying. So just use it. Tell people when you're sending out your newsletters and everything, put donate now in it, include something for people to donate. So at least they decide whether or not they want to do it. So let it just be there. Bringing in monthly donations helps your organization cover essential costs, no matter what month it is. Like I said, those $10 I get every month, they all add up to something. The quarterly ones that are bigger, they add up to something. The annual ones that are huge, So you can't throw away the place of monthly donations. Okay, this is another interesting one. It's called the Donor Advised Fund. I like this a lot as well, because you can leverage it and have more partners, supporting your cause if you can join or find the ones that kind of align with your goals. And these are a few organizations: United Way, National Philanthropic Trusts, Canada Gives, Shrub Charitable Foundation. And I'll tell you how the Donor Advised Fund works. So there is a donor, let's assume Tongoluole and family. All we want to do is we want to just support a not-for-profit in Kenya. We don't know the organization yet, but we want to support maybe an organization focusing on children underserved in Kenya. We approach this DAF, that's the Donor Advised Fund, in the middle. Mostly they're financial institutions or foundations. So we talk to them and say, okay, we have this money, you take it. You take the legal control of that money and look for a not-for-profit that needs it. Because I can't travel down to Kenya, so you do the due diligence and make sure the money gets to the right source. So that's the way it flows. So once they give it out, once the donor gives the money to the DAF, it becomes irrevocable. They can't collect it back. So the DAF has to look for a way to spend it. Then the DAF would recommend, grants and all that to these charities. So sometimes not-for-profit organization could actually go look for this DAF and register, sign up under them. Some of them would tell you to pay maybe $400, $500 to become a member. And once you are in their pool, when opportunities like the Tongoluole Foundation come in, they'll be like, oh, we have one already that aligns with what you want. You want Kenya? Yes, we'll take it there for you. So the benefit that comes to the donor is that they get tax benefits as well when they give to the Donor Advised Fund. So that's the way it works. So you can look up for some of them and sign up if you want. You never can tell. So the DAF remains a popular giving vehicle, with more donors using them to streamline their philanthropic efforts. And like I said, they are mostly financial institutions and community foundations. Individuals, families, and businesses enjoy tax benefits and flexibility to make grants. So guess what? Money saved with the DAF are tax-free. So people giving their money into that place, they know what they are doing too. They are not going to pay tax on that money. So it's a win-win for everybody. You collecting, it's good for you. Me giving is also beneficial to me. And it could become a steady funding source for you. Once you run their projects well, the DAF will think of you again. I know, sir, if you can remember, when at Faith Foundation, we had United Way, and City Foundation. Every year, there was a certain amount of money that was coming to AEP, our Aspiring Entrepreneurs Program, through that donor advice fund, which is United Way. So if you run the projects well, you get money over and over again. It's for your own good. It could become a steady funding source. Yeah, like I said, potential for larger gifts. When you run it well, you get more money. It's also a form of diversified revenue stream. So apart from other ways of raising funds, this is another sure one for you, And of course, it fosters long-term relationship with your partners and access to larger pool of philanthropic capital. So when the donor advice fund, like I said, understand that you run projects, you have capacity to deliver on larger projects, they will look for other Tongoluwales that can fund your projects and bring them to you. Okay. So in 2023, Americans gave roughly this amount to charity. And guess what? 67% of this giving came from individuals. So individuals give a lot more. Individuals, if you can leverage on individual giving, I think it works. As in, it has this consistent way of flowing in than waiting for one major, grant to come. 19% given by foundations, 8% given by bequests, 7% by corporations. Corporations will follow the process, like sometimes there are bureaucracies before they approve and all that. But individual, I can decide and say, I'm transferring the money right now and I send to your account. So it's quite flexible. So where did the charitable dollars go? This is for 2023 anyway. 24% went into religion, whether Muslim, Christianity, whatever, 24%. So that means that faith-based organizations also stand a chance of getting support. 14% to human services, 14% to education, 13% to the likes of grants of ACT Foundation, grant-making foundations like ACT, 10% to public society and all. It's not how much we give, but how much love we put into giving. That's a quote by Mother Teresa. Like, these people giving, it's not really about, so that, like I said, some people will give $5. It's the thoughts behind it. And that's why the individual giving keeps, doing a lot. Like, the value is enormous. People give individually, no matter how small. So let's talk about the use of influencers. Who are the people speaking for you? Who are your ambassadors? Who are the people that can champion your cause and stand in front of the media or use their platform for you and tell people to donate towards your organization? For some projects, like I said, some people want to stay anonymous, like I'm saying ADHD. So it's kind of difficult for us to have influencers, except for people who don't mind, like, okay, they show it off. They have this issue and then they show it off. So find people whose values connect with what you do so that they can easily speak for you confidently. Also, peer-to-peer fundraising. People are more likely to donate when someone they know or someone they admire supports a cause. Last year, I had one of our staff use this approach, the peer-to-peer fundraising. And what she did was, every year, family, they usually have this get-together in December. Large family in the States. So what she did was, she just spoke to everybody. You guys have to donate towards Ada. And at that party, as people were drinking, enjoying, partying, she raised $15,000. Some people gave 100, some gave 5, some gave like that. Very large family, actually. So all extended family, they all donated. So that's the way this works, of some sort. Also, targeted campaign. You can choose influencers whose audiences align with your cause. I have had DJs walk up to us, DJs that have ADHD. They were the ones who asked if we had a PayPal account, for not-for-profits. What they did was they had an event, different DJs, they were playing music and all that. Online, people were dancing, and then people were donating at the same time. So they had one of us come, share information about ADA, and then they raised donations for us. You can choose a principal of a school to speak if you're working in the area of education, or young people to talk about what you do. Also it's very good for national and global exposure. When you use influencers like Mr. Beast, who is a YouTuber, he does projects in Africa. Imagine him talking about your organization. Of course, you're going to make lots of money. Apart from the fact that he himself is a philanthropist, but imagine him speaking for you, or Taylor Swift. Look for people around you. So it doesn't have to be big names like this, but people who have influence, that when they talk, people would want to even think about your organization. Okay, the sale of merchandise. We also use this. So I'm trying to use examples of things that I do. So all those are hoodies, our mugs, our bags. We don't give them out for free. We don't give them out for free. We sell them. You tell us what you want. We want hoodie, because as you're buying, you're also donating, you are supporting our cause. So we sell all our merchandise. So you can also think of that. Employee giving program. I know Google does employee giving program. Here, Walmart does it. And how it works is that it's just almost similar to the pension plan in Nigeria, where the employee donates a certain amount, makes a commitment to give a certain amount to a not-for-profit, and then the organization, our employer, also contributes a percentage. So I have someone who gives $20 every month. Our employer also gives $20. So at the end of the day, I'm getting $40 from that person every month. So it's finding out organizations or corporate bodies that have this kind of program. Maybe you talk to HR managers and find out if they have employee giving program. I think that is also a good one for you. This is quite new for me. It's my baby right now. I'm looking at legacy giving. I've developed a framework for it. I'm targeting the high net worth and net worth individuals in the States who can make a bequest and say, okay, maybe when they pass on, a certain percentage of their wealth can be given to our organization. I know some organizations that use it. American Red Cross, the Canada Heart and Stroke Foundation, they also use it. So it doesn't even have to be until when the person dies anyway. It could even be now when they're still living, and just make a commitment and say, this is for my own legacy. I want to start giving a certain amount every year towards your foundation, because maybe what you do aligns with their own personal goals and values. It could also be in form of their life insurance. So maybe when they die, 20% comes to your organization, something like that. It could even be in terms of real estate or their retirement fund. And what this does is it promotes long-term funding. It encourages generational philanthropy. When they know that, oh, their dad used to do towards this organization, the children will most likely support that too, in some cases, not all cases. It allows for flexibility to your donors. So like I said, it doesn't have to be immediate. It could be non-cash, it could be property, it could be stocks. Although we are trying to run away from stocks because we don't want to face the hassles, but property, non-cash would also be accepted. And a way of doing this again is to offer legal services, will writing resources. I know some some people don't know how to do that. So, or people shy away from writing their will. So what you can do is to like maybe offer some classes, let people attend, maybe closed groups, and then, you know, propose your legacy giving to them if they will be able to buy into it. And some can also use it for their birthdays in memorial of a loved one. A lot of people that give towards ADA, either they have a child who has ADHD or they have ADHD themselves. So during their birthdays, they just donate. I don't know how well I'm doing with time. Abiodun?
Yes, please.
Okay, I was just asking, I don't know how well I'm doing with time. I'm almost getting to where the case studies are. I have like 2 or 3 case studies that we can
Yeah,
brainstorm
you're
about.
doing
And
great.
okay,
You have till 12:40.
12:40.
12:40.
How many more minutes is that? Sorry.
It's like 41 minutes.
41 with the questions and answers, right?
We can still take questions and answers, but then you can manage with that.
Okay. Okay. So it's always good for us as fundraising professionals to understand the fundraising ethics so that we won't make mistakes or we won't do things that will just make our donors shy away from supporting our cause. So I have some case studies here and I would like us to brainstorm about it. What would you do in that situation? I'll give you a minute to just read through this case. Okay. So what this case is talking about is assuming we're working with a not-for-profit organization, you have a couple who have come to you. Let's assume they donated a large sum of money into your endowment fund. And now you've moved into another organization. You're working with them as a fundraiser. But because you've built so much trust with this couple on the other hand, they're saying they want to revoke that bond that they have in endowments with your previous employer and want to bring all the money to your new organization. What would you do? Are you going to accept the offer on behalf of your new organization? Are you going to reject the offer? Are you going to ask your CEO of the new organization to take a decision? Or D, you are going to first clear the offer with your legal counsel of your new organization to be sure that the donor can move the money from your previous employer. What would you do? I would like to hear from people.
Okay. Would you like them to unmute or you want to read in the chat? I see Miriam Okoro says she will go for option D. So if you
D.
want to take 1 or 2 persons unmuted.
Yeah, because I can't even, if I have to read, maybe you can read for me because I'll have to like
Okay.
minimize my screen. So you can read
right.
for me or they can unmute.
Miriam Okoro. Okay. Miriam Okoro says I will go for option D, and that is first clear the offer with the general counsel of your new organization to be sure the trust can be revoked legally. Okay, a couple of people are going for D. Mark
For what?
Gamble goes for a lot of people are going for option D.
Of
to first
option
clear
B
the
or
offer.
D? Okay,
D
D.
for dog.
Okay,
Yes.
okay.
Yes, but we have Mark Gamble who says he will reject the offer.
In fact,
Okay,
I'm going
Rukaya
to
also says she will reject the offer.
okay, I'll go for the first person that got it right. And I have $20 for that person.
Yay.
So,
Let's look for that name again.
yeah, so it seems as if those who want to seek the legal counsel, somewhere in their mind, they're willing to collect the money. But the truth is, according to the fundraising ethics, you have to reject that offer. First of all, that is what it says. Accepting the offer violates numerous fundraising standards, which prohibits exploitation of any relationship. So it's as if you're trying to like exploit the relationship you already have with your previous donor. But supposing they're going to retain what they have in the previous with your previous employer and still want to bring money to yours, then you can ask someone else in the organization to deal with them. So you're not, there's no conflict of interest of some sort. You can let your CEO know that, oh, I was working with them, blah, blah, blah. I don't want to be involved in that contract or arrangement. Okay? So those of you that said D, you're still correct in the way. I want to make you feel good, but that is not the first thing to do. The first thing to do is to outrightly reject the offer. Clarifying it to your counsel can come up later when you guys are now sure that, okay, maybe someone else in the organization can deal with them. Then you can now clarify other things. Okay, the second case, I'll also give you 2 minutes to read this and then we'll discuss. Are we done? So, in summary, what this case is saying is you have a major donor, like maybe let's say the richest man in your country who has been given to your not-for-profit. The person is trying to play a fast one regarding tax filing and then comes to you at a later date to say, okay, I'm giving you a certain amount of money as donation, huge amount of money, $100,000. I want you to write me a letter, a thank you letter saying that he gave the money months back so that he can claim tax refund on it. Before you could even tell him, oh, sir, we can't accept it now, or we can't backdate that letter, he hung up on you. And it's someone you guys, like hold in high esteem. What would you do? Are you going to prepare the letter of acknowledgement thanking him? Are you going to call him back and tell him you cannot accept the gift on these terms? Will you discuss the matter with your CEO and allow your boss to like take ownership of that situation? Or you ask your CEO to decide what should be done? C and D are almost the same. What would you do?
Okay, so we have a couple of responses here. In fact, this person responds with a question. Would you reject the offer when you are struggling to respond? Okay, that's a reality check. We have a couple of B's here and a lot of C's. People are also responding on YouTube. We'd like to acknowledge that. Thank you also very much for responding. Do you want to take one or two responses on YouTube?
Okay.
Okay, we have a lot of B's. Rashid. Someone chose C. We have someone who also chose B.
Okay.
But there are lots of B's.
Lots of B's. Okay.
B's.
The person who said, okay. The person who said C is actually correct. I'm going to give you $25.
Ooh, it gets better. Okay,
Because
we look for
because you have to discuss the matter with your CEO. What the donor has proposed is a violation of the law according to fundraising ethics. So you have to encourage your CEO to make the call. And if she doesn't, or if she decides to still send that letter, then you have to let them know that what you're doing is against the normal practice. So this is not my answer. It is part of the fundraising ethics what you do in similar situations. I think I have one more. I'm not sure. For this one is bonus point, so I don't have any money no cash reward for this for anybody that gets this. But it's something for us to learn from, because I hear this question a lot. So let's take a minute and read it before I summarize.
Someone is writing on the screen. Could you please try to maybe take your cursor away from the screen, please? Thank you.
Okay. So let me summarize this case. So in a way to encourage, fundraising culture in an organization, the board has decided that all senior managers who are involved in fundraising would get, like some rewards, like bonus, which would be 10% of their annual salary, depending on the number of corporate sponsorships they bring. According to fundraising ethics, is it right for them to give that bonus, or no? Or it depends, or you don't know? So is it right for your boss to say, okay, anybody that brings this percentage or who brings in new donors or whatever, you're going to get XYZ amount or a percentage of your salary? Is it acceptable or not? Any responses? Okay. Is it because there's no cash reward today? Okay, I'm willing to give a cash reward if I hear your responses. I'll be honest, nobody talking, so I can just
Oh, I apologize. I'm seeing a lot of answers here. Okay, I want to start with the very first response. We had like 100 responses. Okay, so Margaret says B, Nkechi A, Gozie A. We have B, Daniel. Yeah, there's B, there's C. Pretty much all of the responses. There are A, B, C's, and D's here. Okay, Cecilia on YouTube says no. That's B.
Okay.
Thank you, Cecilia.
The answer to that question, according to the fundraising ethics, is A. You can actually get a bonus for bringing in new corporates or sponsorships or donations. However, it must not be a percentage-based bonus. So it is not like if I bring $2 million, I'll get 2% from it. No. It has to be a flat amount, like a fixed amount, and say, okay, if you bring this, you get 500,000 naira. or you get 100,000. So it has to be a certain amount, but not percentage. So you can't just say, like I said, you got in $100,000 as donation, and then you want to get 10% from it. No, that doesn't work. So who was the first person to say A? Then the person can get that. You can.
Nkechi Igwe. Yes. Yeah, that's
All right.
the
Okay, so Nkechi gets that. So I think that is for us to be able to take more questions from the audience. I would like to bring my presentation to a close. Thank you so much for listening. I appreciate your attention, all through the time. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you so much, Ms. Adeton Oluwole. Do you want to give your clap ovations or what? Please send in your flowers. I see roses, I see claps, I see thank yous, I see I enjoyed the session. Thank you. Thanks for the excellent presentation. I enjoyed the session. Okay, thank you so much. All right, quickly, I want to clarify the third person. How much did she win?
The same as
Oh,
others.
20, okay.
Did I say 20
All
for all of them? 20 each.
right. So the first was 20, the second was 25.
Oh, I want it to be the same. So,
Okay, so
so
$20 each.
each.
All
Yeah.
right. Okay, we have Abida Adebomei for the first question. She's the winner of the first question. We have Mark Gamble, the winner of the second question, and we have Nkechi Igwe, the winner of the very last question. Okay, we'll give you your your yay, and then we'll get in touch with you to send the money across
Yes.
to you. So it is time for us to take questions so that our speaker can respond to your many concerns, and then we close for the day. So we'll look in the chat room for questions. On YouTube too. Do we have questions on YouTube? Okay. Yeah, we're checking so that we can ask questions. Please feel free to send in your questions now. Okay. Did you say Latif Bello? Okay, Latif Bello, if you could please ask your question, please try to be as brief as possible. Please unmute and ask your questions while we look in the chat room for the other ones. Thank you.
All right. Again, thank you very much, Adeton, for the great presentation. And I see quite some of the, examples you make. And I was wondering how applicable are some of this in context of Africa. For context, I work in the US. I work in the US fundraising landscape. And I do know I am very concerned about the situation back home with regards to withdrawal of funds and all of that. And as we look more into the ecosystem within the nonprofit sector, I wondered how much of, for example, non-related business, related business income, planned giving, and including even the DAFs, donor advice funds. I'm trying to bring it all together and try to localize for Africa, right? In terms of operationally, how can we make this work? Because that's the biggest question. Many times we talk about giving, each time we talk about giving, we're looking outside the door as though they are not giving present in Africa, except that perhaps maybe there are ways to understand our own giving that deviate from what might be some of these applicable standards elsewhere, right? So I'm just trying to align some of these approaches that are taken here in the global north compared to what's applicable in the global south. I do have some comment, but I just wanted to very much understand what are your thoughts about how to really localize this. If I'm allowed, I also have some comments. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Mr. Latif Bello. The truth is, Africa has to really think out of the box. And like I said, individual giving is quite huge back in the States. And because the government works hand in hand with, charities and all. So I'm thinking if there's a way the African governments can also put in place policies that would help and encourage people to give. Because if I know that when I give to Art Foundation, I'll get a tax refund, then I want to give. But if I'm just giving, nothing happens, I'm just giving and I'm just giving, I won't be encouraged to because I have my own personal needs. So I don't know how African government agencies can work with the likes of, I think it's called FIRS in Nigeria, LIRS. What can people get in return when they give to charities like ACTS, like Faith Foundation? So that would encourage individual. Imagine the population. We can leverage our population to make people to give. Imagine people giving 1,000 naira in Nigeria. But there are no benefits to it. So that is one. So we need to work with those government agencies. What can they do to help not-for-profit? Those are ways they can come in. That's okay, if you give, you will get this lower tax to pay at the end of the year.
All right, thank you very much for that.
Yeah, that's one. Okay, yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Are you still answering? No, I thought you were done.
No, I had two other points. Apart from
Okay, please go
individual
ahead.
giving, I'm also thinking of partnerships too, so you can leverage resources with other organizations. So if you're running a project in, say, Kogi State, you look for other organizations working in that place. You don't need to go rent a new hall or whatever. Like, come together and do something bigger. Not everybody working in silos because you want to, show and like people come together to run projects would help. And also the DAF. I think people should still look into that DAF. You like they say, pay it forward, pay the money, and make sure you never can tell what would happen when you're registered under a DAF organization. Thank you.
All right. Okay. So please ask your questions using the Q&A chat box. That's where we'll take our questions from. I'll ask this too, and then we'll go ahead and we'll let you respond. How do we newly registered organizations key into donor funding, considering that most of them require years of programs or existence to qualify for their grants? And then the next one, you can just provide response to how can an organization registered in Nigeria use PayPal? Then we'll go ahead.
Okay. So to answer the first question that has to do with new organizations, yes, it is a challenge to get funding, right? Because they want to see your history, what you've done, or people writing recommendations for you and all. But then there are also organizations who support those new ones. Even though I can't really mention one right now on the spot, but of course I've seen quite a number. When I'm working, I'm doing my research. Some, their focus is on the new ones. So, and of course, if you have your maybe reference of the little things you've done before, even as an individual, before you became registered, you can also put all that together as part of your case to apply for donation. Then I think the other question has to do with PayPal. For our own, I worked closely with our finance person who set it up. So I can't really give information about the details of how they went about it. I have my own PayPal account, which is just personal. But for that, the one for not-for-profits, the finance person had to handle that. So I don't think it's difficult. I don't think it's something that you won't be able to do.
Awesome. Okay, Kenya says, interesting thoughts around merchandise. Are you able to make sales on merchandise due to your location? So are you like in a preferred place already, or were the merchandise already in high demand for you to create a sales system around them? So maybe you want to give us a tip on how that works.
Okay. So for merchandise, I think people just want to associate with the brand. Sometimes like people who have maybe children or family members who have, ADHD. So they just buy it to support, Like, okay, we're buying, you're taking two, we are giving to our friends, so it's easy. But what I was trying to say is, I know in Africa as well, when we're having events, we give out a lot. You see people going home with mugs, bags, pens, notepads, Maybe you can also think of what people really need in your location. Uh, Maybe you should think of what people really need. Like our own, we sell the hoodies a lot, and it's because of, it's cold, we wear sweaters, So you can think it would be jerseys if you're into maybe kids or maybe sports. You can sell jerseys. I don't know. It's for you to actually think through what obtains in your area that people will be interested in.
Okay, thank you very much. Cecilia, who is on YouTube, is asking if they can apply to your organization for grants.
Okay, we don't give grants. ADA does not give grants. We also provide services to individuals, and we also look for grants. So we're not a grant making organization. But what I'm saying is, it's kind of, we've built our system in such a way that we leverage more of individual giving. We get corporate partnerships. We use subscription giving. Every month, people are paying their monthly dues. We sell our merchandise. We have peer-to-peer fundraising. So those are the things we are using, but we don't. And right now, this year, the truth is, I haven't really looked at grants at all because of the USAID thing. Trump is not really happy with even those of us in the health sector. So we've agreed that for now, just leave grants in one. Let's focus on the individuals and corporate organizations.
Okay, there's an anonymous participant who is in doubt about merchandise as a means of fundraising. He's asking, is it acceptable for the nonprofit sector?
Okay, yeah, because we are a not-for-profit. I don't know what country, what obtains in your country, but it is accepted where I am because it's not like we make a huge amount of money from it. But what I'm saying is every little dollar counts for us. It's not like we make so much. It's not like we really depend on the sale of our merchandise, but it's just another stream of generating donations, or not donations, like income for us, income, revenue.
Okay, so anonymous, it is acceptable as a nonprofit to sell merchandise. All right, I'll ask this two in one. Someone wants to know how they can leverage individual giving for their organization. And then there's someone who would like an example on how to make collaboration successful if the organization is not financially stable at this time and cannot afford some of those, influencer fees.
So what the person is asking is, how possible is it to leverage influencers even though they can't pay?
Yeah, exactly. You're struggling financially at the moment.
So, yeah, like I said, it depends on, you may not really go for those high, like, you may not even be, the person may not be popular in quotes, but does the person have influence? So that was why I gave the example of a primary school the principal? No, head of school,
Headmaster, headmistress,
like,
or head of school.
yes. So the person may be able to influence and speak to parents to allow their children take advantage of the projects you're running. And then by the time you have people, you have the numbers. After a while, you can present those numbers to your donors and say, we've been able to reach out to blah, blah, blah. Or, so it doesn't necessarily have to be the names, the big names. I just use those ones as examples, of influencers.
Okay. Yeah, the question about how they can leverage individual giving as a fundraising strategy. Someone would like to know how to leverage individual giving.
Yeah, individual giving. I think I've spoken a lot about that. I've spoken a lot about individual giving. I use the okay, so some of my monthly campaigns, they're targeted at individuals. So to encourage them to give. My end of year campaign, I send them to individuals. So I don't know if I'm answering the question right. So just target your campaign to individuals. Who are the people you have in your donor database? in your clientele base. Reach out to them. Tell them to share with people. So gradually you keep on expanding your reach, and people would be, those who are interested in your course would give.
All right, thank you very much. So someone has a question on how they can use any winning tips on online fundraising. How does it work?
So I don't what does that really mean? Online fundraising, like using portals?
Perhaps. And there's another one here who asks how portals like GoFundMe work.
Okay.
So maybe that can be like winning.
Yeah, so yeah, I think that kind of fits into that question. Yeah, we have different platforms where you can solicit for money online. Sometimes you have to like make a little commitment in terms of fees into those portals, and then they can now put up your campaign. So there are mostly channels for you to get the money. And like I say, they really don't push for you. They don't market. So even if you have your campaign on their portal, you still have to go ahead and reach out to people, use your maybe Instagram or all the social media platforms that you have, email blasts to reach out to people that will give, because they usually have lots of courses, lots of solicitations on their portal. People are saying health, they are saying education, they are saying this. So it now depends on how compelling your own story looks or sounds to whoever comes on their portal to read. Otherwise, you still have to do your own work on reaching out to people to give.
Okay. Somebody here is ranting, saying, why are so many developed organizations refusing to build a partnership with startup organizations? Like, what did we do to them? So what are the rightful ways to have grants from international organizations? I believe this person works maybe with a startup and is trying to get some funding. And he's been hitting a gridlock. What's going on?
Yeah, I totally feel your pain because I've been there. It's tough. But at some point, maybe you may not even need to approach them immediately. Although, like I said before, some organizations would give their focus is actually towards startups, but it's the way to find those ones. But you may want to leverage on maybe corporate organizations around you, like maybe telcos, banks around you, small, medium enterprises around you. Let them start giving and then run projects. By the time you build your projects after maybe like 2 years, because again, some of them would ask for audited financials when you want to apply for those main grants. They will ask for policies that you have in place. Nobody wants to throw their money into a place that is still shaky. And it's just like you, if you hear about a bank that is new, you would think, am I sure I want to put my money into that financial institution? So that's the story behind that. But that doesn't mean you can't get funding because you are fresh, you're totally new.
Okay, thank you very much. So build your track record, and with time, I can tell you that there'll be a major breakthrough. All right, this person has a question around partnerships. It says, in what ways can partnerships help organizations raise funds with some donor preferences for consortium-based funding? He said he has seen how some consortium have ended in crisis during implementation. So what tips can you share on how best to manage interests within the group so as not to ruin chances for further funding opportunities?
That's a beautiful question, especially when you're working at that level. I know I've entered into consortiums with different organizations, maybe like 5. We put together a proposal and we submit to, the big funders. One thing I know that most of those big donors do is they would ensure that all the consortium members sign contracts. Like you have to, your expectations, your roles, responsibilities, and also your financials. So where is it domiciled? Is this with one of the consortium member organizations? Or do you have like a different consulting firm handling the finances for that particular project? Because some of the things that could lead to the discord could be money. It could be that some are really invested into the project, they are running it, they are doing everything they need to do, but one is lagging behind. So there must be timelines, roles and expectations from each consortium member. You are checking, your PM&E is on point. They're checking, Abiodun's foundation, you guys need to do this and that. You have to meet up your timelines and all that. So there should be regular checks. And by the time you even start submitting your reports to your donor, first quarterly reports, you notice that this person is not, then you can even write to your donor and let them know that one of us is not meeting up to the expectation. And for us to be able to have something very compelling and nicely done, would like to revisit this arrangement. So.
All right, thank you. This is going on so well. Now my CEO has a hand up. I don't know if you know my CEO. I call her the best CEO ever.
Yes,
Absolutely. She's been here the whole time, so please don't think that she's just coming in. She's been here the whole time, and the great leader that she is, she allows us
thank you
to
so
come
much.
first. Go ahead, ma'am.
Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Thank you so much, Biodu. Dayton, thank you so much. As you're talking, I'm just writing stuff down, especially because, especially the question someone asked about partnerships. And I just thought maybe I should just talk about it and reiterate what you said. Because the truth about it is that a lot of us go into partnerships believing that everything is going to work out. So I always tell, it's like any other business, any other thing you're doing, any other small business, it doesn't matter if it's a small business or if it's a large business. You don't go in to work with somebody without knowing where the person is going to. There's no journey that you start asking, where are we going to? So you have to, everything must be documented, everything must be agreed, everything must be signed. Even if you are going to partnership with a family member or your family or your sister, it's better to have all those things sorted out from the very beginning, including a clause that stipulates if there's any disagreement, how do we solve it? And I always tell mostly people from our sector is that if fights do happen, it's not just the fight of the businesses itself. The communities suffer. So it's better to avoid it from the beginning, because if you now lose out on a grant, what happens is that the communities suffer, and maybe the funder decides to withdraw the grant, and everybody begins to suffer. So it's best to do all these things from the very beginning and make sure that you all sit down together, you all agree, you all know what your KPIs are, you know who is in charge of that particular project, so that people don't feel that you are taking advantage of them, and we're all on the same page from the very beginning. I think that will help as well. Thank you, dear. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, I think we can take a few more questions. Someone is asking, I know you mentioned telcos, the banks and all of that as per corporates who can also support organizations. So someone wants to know, position themselves for funding from this kind of organization. What do they need to do differently?
Okay. So definitely networking is one. You have to network with the heads of CSR or corporate comms or whatever it's called. You can't shy away from that. Understanding what their priorities are. So if Nestle supports children, supports nutrition, you should know that, okay, you may be, approaching them. But if what they're doing is totally different from what you're doing, then there's no point going to them, And then if you have, like I said, references are usually very good. Have people that can speak for you as well. Like you have a note to say, we are recommending them, they've done projects with us before, and now, you present it as part of your proposal to the new organization you are trying to approach for funding or for sponsorship. So networking, understanding our funding priorities, have your recommendation letters if possible. I think those three are key, in approaching corporate organizations.
Okay, I hope you took notes. Thank you so much for that. Someone here is asking, what emotional triggers or storytelling techniques work best in getting people to donate? And secondly, what makes a fundraising campaign go viral or gain momentum?
Emotional triggers. First of all, I would say that don't lie. There's no point lying, to buy into the emotions of a donor. Rather, just say the way it is. We need support. Show with evidence this is what is happening in the North. We need you to help us achieve this, that, and that. It is clear. Whoever is reading what it is you're proposing would definitely have maybe like empathy towards your cause. Don't exaggerate unnecessarily, because sometimes donors also go do their on site visits, they do their due diligence, they would ask people, they would come there, they would go behind you, do their background checks. And when they see that it's just what you're saying is just blown out of proportion, then they may be put off to even give. So use your storytelling to describe the situation, use facts, go online, do your research, let them know that these are the actual things happening. Yeah, at least those two would give you that chance of buying into their emotions, I think.
All right, thank you very much. Someone here is asking around environment. He said, according to the chart that you shared, the charitable dollars, where does the charitable dollar go? You said he said he noticed that only 3% goes to environment and to animals, and is asking your opinion. What do you think would be the cause of this? Why just 3%?
So I think it's more of what the donors' interests are. It's maybe the number of people who are kind of interested in environment, the number of organizations interested in animals, and that's where the issue of advocacy comes in. Issue of media. Those of you in that space would need to like promote it more, push out that narrative if you really want people to understand. When people are doing things for maybe emergency relief services, flooding, all those things, they would show it. This is what is happening. See, but if people can't really see it, then they won't know. So I think the work also goes back to those within that sector. What are you telling people? What narrative is being shared out there for people to buy into your courses?
Thank you so much. I think this is the last question we have now. Somebody says, given our background in Africa, where even the rich do not talk about death, how do you explore legacy gifts?
Okay, like I said, I'm also exploring it, but I think some people, even in Nigeria, some people actually do. I know a few at the top of my head. The Onosode Foundation, they have something. Even Apostle Alile has something. There's some awards they give to some children or youths. So some people have that exposure and they're already doing it. It's for you to also understand those that may be interested. That's why, for me, what I'm starting with is I'm having like a focus group where we'll be having series of meetings. We're going to invite the big wigs to join us. We'll brainstorm about it. Who should we be pitching to? This one is not for everybody. We are not doing it we just need a few people that will be able to understand and connect with what we want them to do and then make a legacy gift towards our organization.
Okay, thank you so much for that. I think on that note, we have come to the very end of this round of our Act Knowledge series, which is actually about fundraising. I hope that you have gotten something from here. You want to write down in the chat room what you have learned today, just one thing that you're taking home today, especially if you want to share which of those tools and approaches you're going to start using, whether from today or from next week, or maybe you need like a month to start trying it out, or in another 3 to 6 months. So which of those approaches are you going to use? Are you going to start using AI some more? Are you going to do subscription giving, donor advised fund? You see, I'm a good student. I took notes. Are you going to start working with influencers? Will you try sale of merchandise, employee giving program? Is that something you want to try? Or are you going to delve into legacy gifts? So these are, pretty much not some of those traditional approaches that we usually see around us. So I want to see, what do you have to say in the chat room? We're rounding up now. We are rounding up. I want to see what you have to say in the chat room. Okay, so while we wait for that to happen, I told you earlier about our podcasts. It's streaming on YouTube and on podcast platforms like Spotify, Apple, Google Podcast, and so on. So please go and listen to our episode. We have like 34 episodes already, and I tell you that each one comes with a bang. All right. Also coming up, we have our special grants. It is called the Changemakers Innovation Challenge. I mentioned it earlier. If you or you know someone who uses tech for their intervention and you need some funding to help you, this time around this year, we're working mostly with young people. So if you're within the ages 18 to 25, or you know someone who is doing really, really great and is within that age, please tell them to look out for our grant on Changemakers Innovation Challenge. It's coming up very soon and they can apply. Also, our breakfast dialogue is also coming up later in the year. We're going to be, please follow us for the publicity. And yeah, this is July. Our next training is in September and it's going to be on storytelling. So that person who was asking about emotional triggers, come and hear some more from our speaker in our next episode. Yeah, when you leave, you see our feedback survey form there. It will pop up. Please do well to fill it. We would like you to please fill the feedback survey because we definitely want to hear from you. All right, next, we're going to be closing. So I want to call on our head of programs and grants, Ugochukwu Nwosu, to formally close us. Over to you, Ugochukwu. Hello. All right, are you having issues with your audio? Okay, we'll just give a moment for Ugochukwu to settle.
Is he in? Building? If not, someone
Yes,
else.
I think he's having
we
issues
can
with
move on. Yeah.
Okay, ma'am, since I heard your voice, I think I just
All right,
You guys
everyone, I want to
close
say thank you. Gochuku is supposed to be, I'm not Gochuku Ambusai, but I want to say thank you, first of all, to Adetowu for coming and just spilling, this wisdom that comes with, I know the journey of fundraising is a journey. It doesn't, no one can know everything. As we learn, we correct, we change, we do things, we relearn, we unlearn a lot of things as we go along, and hoping that at the end of the day, what we've learned and unlearned, we'll be able to make use of it in our different organizations and the communities. I want to say very big thank you to you, and we're hoping that we'll have you back again sometime soon. People are asking for your social media handle, so I asked someone from Art Foundation to kindly please put that in. And thank you to Abiodun and the team for making this very successful. Thank you everyone for joining us, and we are looking forward to having you again sometime soon. So see you again. Take care. Bye everyone.
Bye.
Bye. Take care.
Bye.
Thank you.
Please remember to fill our
Thank you,
survey.
Push Click Foundation. Thank you, sir. Thank you, everyone. Ekaite, thank you. John, Rashid, Deborah. Oh no, that's our own Deborah. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.